Hello everybody, bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. If I sound out of breath, it's because I should not have lifted as much as I did today. New year, new me, we lifting again, that'll last a week probably. So anyway, what I'm drawing here doesn't super have to do with the topic of today's video, it's just some requests that I got on Tumblr for drawing Quirrell in the, more book-inspired design that I gave him. I love the movie, I've said this. My only gripe is that I wish he had more screen time, but what can you do, you know? So I saw this video by this dude, very good video. I don't think I watched the whole thing. I think I only watched the first couple parts, but it was very good, and I felt personally attacked when I got to this part, let me tell you.
What about Quirrell? I hear you screaming at me. That's the question everyone cares about deeply. Everyone's favourite, most memorable villain. What do we do about Quirrell?
So Quirrell is a little problematic. He's my problematic fave, for two reasons. One is the stutter, or pretending to stutter, and the turban. And we'll start with the stutter first because it's easiest, I think, to rewrite, I guess. I think this was mostly a failure on the movie's part, I think. Again, not the fault of the actor, I think it's more the writing and the lack of screen time. In the book, I think the implication is more trauma, he was attacked by vampires, and Hagrid says that completely screwed him up. I think it's more that vibe that the movie doesn't quite convey. Basically, the point is that people who stutter aren't necessarily nervous, although I have heard that thinking about it and getting in your head too much about it can trip you up more. That's just what I've heard, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But also, there is the sort of trauma or changes in the brain that can impact your speech. That's where speech disorders happen. The speech disorder is stored in the brain. And, maybe I'm thinking too deeply about it because the stutter is fake. He's not actually been through any trauma. He just acts like he has. But I will say, the implications of Voldemort punishing him by attaching himself to his body, and there's that whole scene where Harry overhears him being, it's not really made clear, but maybe tortured, maybe pushed into doing something he doesn't want to do. That just sounds traumatic in itself. But the vampires, the story he makes up, none of that happened. I know there is sort of a trope around villains faking various sorts of disabilities in media to seem less threatening. I know, for example, Pretty Little Liars, there was the girl who was blind, but is she really? I don't know, it's kind of flip-floppy, I can't really remember if she actually was or not. And then, oh, my most hated example, Scary Movie. Not even gonna touch that. I love the horror references in Scary Movie, but a lot of the comedy is just, get it away from me, please. But I think if we emphasize that it isn't just the stutter that makes him seem less threatening, it's his whole traumatic backstory, in quotations there, and whole demeanor, I think it could work. Could work better, I should say, because I think it does work. Just not as well as it could. It could be, more in-depth, I guess is what I'm saying. Now, I'm gonna get a little bit into headcanon territory here based on extra materials, but stay with me. It's very plausible, I think, a headcanon that I saw. And it's one of these handfuls of people who I think first posted it on their Tumblr. I can't remember who it was. But shout out to all those guys, because they all have great content around this character, and there's I'm starving for content over here, right? But one of them had the headcanon, I'm pretty sure. If I got, if it's someone completely else that I didn't mention, I'm so sorry. But somebody had the headcanon that since in, the games, by the games I mean mainly Hogwarts Mystery, I'm pretty sure. Basically, it said that he was bullied as a kid because he was very shy. And that led this person, whoever it was on Tumblr, to believe that maybe as a kid his stutter was real, and he kind of, grew out of it and pulled it back as an act because it wouldn't be super hard to believe or something like that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe it isn't totally canon, but it would add a lot to his character, I feel like. And speaking of depth, let's go back to his whole conflict with Voldemort, because it's only really in the periphery of the story and Harry's POV that we see this happening. But if we get more, I think a good way to show it would be in the end reveal, show how scared he is of Voldemort. You get a teeny hint of that in the movie and a little bit more in the book. Yeah, I think emphasizing that would make him a little more sympathetic. Not sympathetic in the sense of trying to overlook what he's doing, but in the sense that you get the feeling he's kind of trapped. And you're kind of oh, that sucks for him. That he's going through it. I mean, that is pretty much genuinely the reaction I had to it reading the book for the first time, but I feel like I'm maybe a minority in that, so I feel like just emphasizing it a little more might make him less straight up evil and more complicated, I guess. Actually, it's the next day now, but I just saw today someone posted a sort of, not analysis, it was just like a quick mention of it, but like the implication that could be like an allegory or a theme of sexual assault, which sounds insane on the surface, but you get it, right? I feel bad for saying that's insane because I get it, obviously. Like right away I was like, oh, it clicked. Because you have the whole theme of coercion and the invasion of the body, which isn't made clear in the movie, like that it wasn't consensual, but in the book it like outright states like, yeah, Quirrell didn't want this. And then there's the whole like the body horror of like that happening and then having another person like manifest out of the body, like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. And that also ties into what I was saying about he's faking having trauma, but like there is real trauma there. Oh my god. Now that I think about it, it feels like such an obvious thing, right? But it didn't click until I saw this post, and Joanne just did absolutely nothing with it. I don't think I've any... my brain chemistry is being permanently altered in real time on this day. No, I don't think I've seen this take or this analysis on that whole theme like anywhere. But it feels so almost intentional, and like I know it probably wasn't because Joanne did not think another second about this character after she killed him. I'm sorry. Well, she did, but retconned a bunch of stuff. Whatever. The point is, the potential that was wasted. I've basically said everything that can be said about this topic, but okay, I need to stop. I will absolutely link the post in the description. If I forget, absolutely kick me in the ass and tell me. Link that post right now. Okay, well, that went off the rails. I was expecting to tackle 2 topics today, 2 tiny little problematic aspects of this guy, and no, I went into a whole thing. Okay, so the turban. I think this video I saw that initially was rewriting Harry Potter said, like, probably don't have him wear the turban, and, like, I get that, but I think it would be, because it's such an iconic character design, right? Keep the turban and give him more, like, make him worse, is what I'm saying. Give him more things, because in the book it says he was traveling, right? That never comes up in the movie. And I think another way to bring more depth to him is to have the travel be like a real like thing he's interested in outside of just when he went looking for Voldemort that one time, because in the book it said he was traveling anyway and just came across him, but then JKR retconned that and said it was intentional, like he went looking for Voldemort on purpose. But she also said in like a published thing from like 2016, I'll link that below as well, that travel is like an actual interest of his. So like make that a thing, make it so that he collects things from various countries, places, because in the book it does say that he got the turban like from Africa, and like we don't know if that's a lie or not, but make it true, give him something interesting to do, and it would make more visual interest, I guess. And I know I'm not writing for HBO, but Luke Thallon is so good at playing a character who, I'm just going off of his performance in Present Laughter here. It's my life's mission to spread Present Laughter propaganda. So he is such a good character that does bad things, but playing it in such a oblivious way, but still being likable. He's got like this innocent vibe about him, and he like breaks into a dude's house, but he's like, hee. He would be like perfect at nailing this vibe of someone who's just like collecting a bunch of things from places because he likes them, but he doesn't really consider that like maybe he shouldn't be wearing that all the time. And like it takes place in the 90s, so it totally makes sense that nobody would say to his face like, hey, that's weird. Like he definitely looks weird, I think. And I think that's something that, aside from being a good character design, that's character design. I cannot enunciate words properly. Oh my god. That's something that makes him visually distinct, because on him it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, what's this guy's deal? Oh, and that could also really help in terms of not making it so out of place. When Harry first meets Quirrell, he's not wearing the turban, and so when he gets to school, he is wearing it, and it's like, oh, that's weird. But to maybe make it not so jarringly weird, because I feel like seeing that in the movie, like in the book it's like whatever, that's just a small detail, whatever, but like seeing it visually, it would be a little more jarring, I feel like. And so to make that transition smoother, when he first meets Harry, he's not wearing the turban, but like give him something else to wear. It doesn't have to be a hat of any kind because Voldemort isn't there yet. Just like give him something, I don't know, I can't think of anything specific off the top of my head right now, you know, something that shows like, oh, that's a little weird of him to be wearing that when he's some white dude. But then you get to school, he's wearing the turban now, and it's like, okay, he just likes quote-unquote exotic things, I guess. Yeah, That could be something. Oh, and you know what? That would tie into perfectly with him being the Muggle studies teacher before becoming the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. That whole thing, I have mixed feelings on. I don't hate the idea of him having taught a different subject, but just the way Joanne wrote it to be retconned, like the whole idea of the position being cursed. There's not really an established lore that this position is cursed and that Quirrell has only been teaching it for 1 year. You get the feeling like this is his position, like he's the dark arts guy. Snape wants his job. They say specifically like Snape wants Quirrell's job. It's not Snape wants this job that like a bunch of people have been teaching, right? Okay, that out of the way. I think being the Muggle studies teacher makes perfect sense for him to have this fascination with like different cultures and such, right? Because I think Muggle culture is different from wizard culture. They have like, yeah, they have no idea how Muggles dress. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that makes total sense. Oh my god, Joanne, square up with me in the Three Broomsticks parking lot because I'm fighting for custody over this guy. My son now. And another thing that is not super important, but I couldn't not mention because it's so funny, in that 2016 character thing she wrote about him, it said his hobbies are traveling and pressing flowers, and that's so specific. There's no way she didn't get that from a Harry Potter musical, right? I can't find any source from before 2009, like even from before 2016 when she published this thing that said that was a hobby of his. So I'm like, there's no way she didn't get that from that, right? Unless it's just a coincidence. But it's too specific to be a coincidence. Like, it's so random, I feel like. Anyway, I would implement that either way, regardless of whether she took the idea or not. I think it's funny. It would be a cute little, like, inside joke for the musical fans. But I thought Joanne hated the musical. That's so funny. Shady.